It's urgent now. The U.S. military has finally started training a group of so-called moderate Syrian rebels to fight the Islamic State. Remember this? We've been talking about this for over a year. Remember, there was the not war there. And then we said, well, we don't have any ground forces for Syria, so we're going to train fighters who are moderate Syrians. And everybody said, well, where are these moderate people? You'll clearly need a lot of them, because there's a lot of fighting going on there. So over the last, like 11 months, we've been trying to figure out where these fighters will come from and how many will be. Well, they've decided now. How many fighters will we train for Syria? 90. 90. Which should probably solve all of the problems in the Middle East. But this is the true statement today. We will train 90 fighters to work in Syria. That's what the Defense Secretary, Ashton Carter, announced just a short time ago. Listen.
This program is critical and a complex part of our counter-ISIL efforts. We expect a second group to begin training in the next few weeks.
There we go. 90 fighters right away. Second group in a few weeks. They'll train more of them later. Take care of the Syria problem. 90. Last fall, Pentagon officials announced a $500 million plan for U.S. Special Forces to train those rebels. So we were led to believe now that the training of the rebels, 90 rebels, will be $500 million. Here's a Pentagon credit card. Have a nice day. The goal here is to combat ISIS militants on the ground in addition to the U.S.-led airstrikes in Syria and Iraq. The Pentagon reports the U.S. will also provide fighters with weapons and vehicles and equipment. Critics say there's no way to prevent these groups from using our weapons and training to fight the Syrian government effectively, ditching the fight against ISIS. Since the civil war started there now 4 years ago, a humanitarian group reports that more than 200,000 people have died and some 4 million others have left the country. And to complicate things even more, Turkish officials announced today that they've teamed up with Saudi Arabia to lend financial and logistical support to those rebels fighting Bashar al-Assad, even though the White House says Turkey could be supporting radical fighters. Former Army intelligence officer Jessica McFate joins us now. She's currently a research director at the Institute for the Study of War. That group describes itself as a nonpartisan, nonprofit, public policy research organization. Jessica, thank you.
Thank you.
90 fighters to be trained with our $500 million. I will sleep well tonight.
Well, yes, that throughput is a lot smaller, I admit, than I was expecting, but I think you've hit the nail on the head about the two biggest concerns if that is part of our ground strategy to fight ISIS in Syria. One is it doesn't seem to be enough, and two, the majority of Syrian rebels, probably to include the ones we're training, are more concerned with fighting Assad than fighting ISIS. So what happens after training is still something of the complex strategy that I think we need to see.
Well, that's part of the context, you know. You just mentioned that who you really want to fight with and against is part of this equation. But the solution given to this going back 3 years, because the Civil War's been going on 4 years, but the solution going back 3 years is we're going to find these moderate rebels. And every time a news person said, where are these moderate people? They didn't have an answer, but they told us to stop asking that question. Come on, give us a minute. Well, they've had a minute. They've had 4 years now, and they found 90 rebels to train with our $500 million. We're supposed to take this information from Ashton Carter himself and wander around jubilantly like they've solved the problem? This is insane.
Well, the discussion about who to support among the rebels has, as you mentioned, been quite complex for a number of years, and there seem to be two different attitudes towards it. One is that they're not suitable if they work anywhere near the al-Qaeda affiliate in Syria, Jabhat al-Nusra. And then there is the other attitude, which is actually the one that I think that Turkey is trying to express right now, which is you can't compete with al-Qaeda in Iraq, al-Qaeda in Syria, unless you are working with the groups that have no choice in their estimation to work with al-Qaeda. So there's this strange dynamic of what to do about the fighters in the middle ground. They're working with al-Qaeda, but they might work against al-Qaeda if they had alternatives. But we seem to be scoping in a very narrow way to make sure that we only train people we have vetted already.
90 now, another group later. Jessica, thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Remember, well, Congress is a step closer to having a say in any nuclear deal with Iran. The Senate easily passed a bipartisan bill a little while ago to give Congress the power to review the agreement. The House could vote on that bill as soon as next week. Meantime, there's word that the president will push for a missile defense system for allies in the Persian Gulf region. That's according to the reporting of the Reuters news agency. Analysts say in those countries are concerned that Iran will be a bigger threat after the nuclear deal.